regular council meeting will now come to order. Will everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you kindly. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Shaw.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Conan.
Here.
Wallach.
Here.
Ballard.
Here.
Sleds.
Here.
Belkey.
Here.
Hey, we have a full class. Approval of the agenda. What's council's wishes, please?
Mr. President, I'll move the agenda be accepted as presented.
Support.
Moved by Ballard, supported by Shaw. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is, the floor is open up to citizen comments. 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
We'll be here all night.
I just said I was gonna cut it down to 3. You think you get it, then you don't.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 minutes and then name for the record. If not, we will move on to presentations. There is none. Administrative reports. Commissioners' liaison reports first. Want to do that? Go ahead. Belkey, go ahead.
Go ahead. Characteristically, I have just a little bit to talk about then. Media exchange at the water treatment plant is going a little bit slower than what I would have expected. It's really technical issues in scheduling. It's nothing that the vendor is doing wrong. We expect to have vessel 1 done by tomorrow. Vessel 2, we're trying to schedule the Vector truck that they have. That's what broke the last time we tried to do vessel 1. It may not be till the 1st of November. We're trying to move it somewhere into the middle of October if scheduling allows. So just taking a little longer than we expected. Vessel 1 to be done tomorrow. And then we have 1 vessel to go, which is number 2. The generator estimate that we were working on, that's a bad way to say it. Wiring the village offices up for full generator power. Probably not a good way to say it either, but we don't have that estimate back yet. Street boring, I expect that to happen within the next week and a half. The streets have been marked. We made some adjustments, worked with Chris on that, and so hopefully by the next meeting that'll be done. Geolocation of the sanitary and storm sewers, still waiting for a tentative date when the guys will be out to locate those lines. Last one, Jeff, you'll find this interesting. So I don't know why it takes so long to get stuff out of Macomb County, but so here we are with the trail easement, and I hit them up again, and they have suggested that we take a crack at writing up the temporary construction easement agreement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stuff that they had in their license agreement, because we're not arguing about the construction, we're not arguing about a few other pieces. I'll take that, and then it's just the timing that I think you principally talked about to get grants in and then subsequently get the work done. Okay. So
I just, if you recall, when we about a year ago, I think we did a temporary construction easement and a permanent easement for one of our projects.
The arsenic detention.
Arsenic detention. So if you take a look at that easement, that can be a good template for you to get started.
Okay.
Because it's the same, same kind of format. But
but
it was the county. I mean, so they can't really object to the format or the.
That's why I want to use a lot of their language, and then they'll push back less, and maybe it'll get done in another 10 months or so. And
really, on that, all you have to really define is the area we're working in, but the general terms about Howard, the timing and things like that, you could probably just carry that forward.
Yeah.
And what was that called, the arsenic treatment facility, plant, what do we call that?
It's an arsenic detention project. I think everybody knows that's shovel ready. It's ready to go, but the cost over the last 2 years has spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
We just can't afford it now. Frankly, that's one of the issues with the media exchange is we have to flush the tank when we put the new media in there. Our current detention sump, 20,000 gallons, is insufficient and it overflows. So we were 3,000 gallons away from being done the last time, and it's all coming out of the manhole covers and stuff like that. So they're coming back tomorrow. They'll finish the 3,000 gallons, get it done. Anyway, I will do that, Jeff, and get something to you, and you can just kind of buff it up a little bit, and then we'll get it back to them, and I'm pretty confident they'll sign off on it. And again, for council, this does not mean we need to do anything, but this opens the door to do something with that trail connection on Church Street. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else, Chris, or?
Planning Commission,
Well, I think, good.
we had a fruitful meeting, I think. We have 2 new site plans that we approved, one being 74-135 Church. They turned those into working space offices. I believe he's got 6 offices now that he will sublet. That's API. And the other one was 74081 Church, True Technologies. And we approved that also. It's light industrial. They make parts for Rivian. I don't know if everybody's familiar with Rivian trucks, the electric trucks, and also the 2024
I think they just got a
Cherokee.
recall for Vian.
Yes, they did. They just make small parts for them. But yes, Mike.
No, where is that at?
Patrick's.
Okay, that,
It's his building. He's subletting it out to True Technologies. And the guy that's running True Technologies is a very nice man. He's got 4 kids young, and they're very ambitious, and hopefully we'll get some more revenue. That's all we're looking for here. We need more revenue. Bring it in. That's all I got.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes, the police action report for September. Traffic-related and traffic stops, there was 31. There was 1 assault, assist EMS 7 times, assist other agencies 6 times. Suspicious situation, we had 3. Civil dispute 1, dog animal complaints 0, disturbance 1, alarm open door 0, domestic disturbance 1, lockout 0, death investigation 0, juvenile related 3, damaged property 1, mental distress situation 0, warrant arrest 0, miscellaneous calls for service 8, missing persons located 0, officer initiated activity 0, lost and found property 1, theft 1, frauds 0, motor vehicle accidents 1. As of June 30th, 2022, miles on patrol car 431 was 77,906.
An unmarked Dodge.
That's it.
Tenth, I believe.
that is the 10th.
You're complete, Mr. Ballard?
That's it.
Thank you. I signed your treasurer's report already, so that's good. We're gonna go on to general business. The consent agenda, approval of the regular council meeting minutes as of September 26th, and a payment of bills. What's council's wishes?
Mr. President, I'll move the consent agenda be accepted as presented.
Support. Moved by Ballard, supported by Clark. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye, motion carried. Old business sewer plant update. Mr. Clark, do you have anything?
Just a couple items. With a little arm twisting, we finally got back our manuals that Roe had that they were going over. They have them on thumb drive and discs, and now we also have them, the hard copies. One of the volumes has 1,800 pages in it.
Wow.
So the guys have gone through some training. They're setting up a book rack right next to the controls and highlighting some areas, and they're going through and making smaller copies of things that pertain to stuff they have to do day in and day out. So it'll be right next to the controls. So whoever's at the site can kind of get talked through some stuff if the situation comes up. So that's all I got right now.
Very good.
Perfect.
We'll go into new business. The Purple Heart Community Site. Michelle will address the issue.
So I contacted the sign company that was used by Rochester. So this is gonna be the color of the sign. So they're gonna be the white with the purple on the outside. They sent me, the first quote they sent me, which is in your packet, was for, obviously we're getting 4, but they were for bigger signs. So I asked them if we could get them like the size of a speed limit sign. So that's, I think, 12 by 18 or 12 by something like that. So they sent me a revised quote. It's a little bit cheaper. It's $900, $954 as opposed to the $1,200 for the larger signs. So, so your motion says not to exceed $1,200. I think the smaller signs are probably better, especially if we're going to be putting them by all the other signs. I think the bigger ones, I don't think we need to do the bigger ones. So, so you can change that amount if somebody makes that motion.
You want to change it, still not to exceed it.
Well, you can, yeah, I mean,
Not
that's
to
fine.
exceed.
Yeah.
1,200. Mr. President,
Okay.
I'm resolved to allow the clerk to order 4 Purple Heart community signs at a cost not to exceed $954.
Oh, so word.
It's 1,200, wasn't it?
Well, the
Oh,
smaller
I'm sorry.
The
ones,
smaller ones, that one was the actual number.
Gotcha.
yeah.
Support.
Who supported?
Shaw.
No, you stealing.
Who you giving it to?
Shaw.
Okay.
I heard stats.
Yeah, I guess so. So was it $954?
$954. Yeah, it's $900 and it's $54 for taxes.
Okay.
Oh, which I might be able to get knocked off, but let's keep the
Pay tax.
let's keep the
pay tax.
nine.
Not to exceed.
Yeah, just keep
Still
it
not to
there.
exceed.
Yeah.
Fine.
Pay shipping, who knows? So,
We don't have to pay shipping.
well, we gotta pay shipping, but we don't have to pay taxes, so.
You go pay them.
Yeah, I'm not driving a truck. It costs just as much for you to pay me mileage to do that than it would to just send them.
Oh,
With gas with prices and everything.
you're charging too much. All right, so, any further discussion? If not, all in
I'd rather
favor?
do a roll.
Well, yeah, somebody.
Ballard,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Woollett,
Yes.
Belkey,
Yes.
Sledge,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Conan.
Yes.
Very good.
I don't know how long they're gonna take. They might take, could take until the spring, who knows, but I'll get them ordered.
Very good, thank you. Lathrop Street repair and bid acceptance. Mr. Sled, your department.
So, trying to bring this project to a close. We did have Rowe actually work the whole process with us. They did the engineering with me. Then they developed the specs, the bid packages. We had them, coordinate the bid, which closed on the 27th of September. They sent bids to 5 specific contractors, and then through 5 other websites for multiple, any contractor. We did get 2 bids, as you can see in the summary. And Michelle, I guess, as that you or Becky did actually put the bid bond in. the total in for it?
Well, I didn't put the,
Okay.
yeah, no,
That's
that's what,
okay, that's good.
that's
'cause-
how we opened them.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so we received two. We are happy to select or recommend the selection of Telto Contracting. They were the low bidder on it. And have done other jobs here in the village too historically. As you can see in the summary, they're with their 5% bid bond, it's a $779.50 charge. This is the drainage part of the project, not the street replacement, which will follow the next cycle here, and it will blend right into it. It was part of it. I do have to say, going along with this, I was going to do it during the administrative report, but I did hear Michelle saw it as well, that we were not down selected this year for any of the state money.
We were not.
The money we did not, no. But we'll keep trying, as it keeps showing up, we'll keep plugging away at it, so. But we thought maybe this time, the fact is that we've got a project and we're doing some work with it already, that might help, but it
So
didn't, so.
the street replacement will take place in the spring then?
We'll see in the it'll be in the 23-24 cycle, where exactly that, we'll see how that one goes. Obviously, the same thing, have to go, we gotta engineer the solution. I gotta contact Roe to find out the Lathrop extension by your brother's house there, because we're getting that surveyed up and then see if there's anything we need to do with that. So I'd like to see it next summer, but we'll see how our budget goes.
Chris, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Not that it's a big amount, but I noticed like in the bid tab, or they call it the bid comparison,
Yep.
they showed, and then in the cover memo to you, they said that the bid amount is 68,779,
Correct.
but then they do have another sheet where it shows the 70,779.50, and I was just curious.
Is that the 5%?
No, 5%,
No.
I just did that math, and it
Okay.
looks like the 5%'s a little bit higher, but.
Oh. The worksheet here was not, this one I did not say, that's where it came from. That was not in the motion that I submitted. So Jeff, I had the 68,000,
Okay.
was in the paperwork I submitted along with, and again, there was an error in the calculation.
So you want to change that
assumed
to 68?
well, we're coming up to the dollar value here too, in the motions it's blank. But yeah, I don't know where there's a calculation here that said with 5% it becomes 77.9. So let's find out.
That came up, maybe I screwed up, I thought that was.
So it was 68,
779.50.
is, actually, that would be 72,218.48,
Yeah, that's what I came up with.
so. So I don't know what that one is. They do have some, there's actually a couple various bonds that are part of the mix. You know what though? I do know what that is. That's 77, remember I said there was an error? It was a $2,000 error
Okay.
in the calculation, so that's what brought that, that's why I added the second sheet. Actually, there's a few more, as Michelle knows, there's a lot of other sheets I
There
put
are,
in the motion.
yeah.
There was a correction. that was
Okay.
done.
So what is your amount then?
So it is 68,779.5.
No, but you said there was a $2,000 error.
There is, so the 70,000 number was the original?
Was the 2,000?
That's, it's
Oh.
2,000
Went the other way.
it went the other way.
Okay, so our bid award will not.
It usually doesn't happen, exactly. Yep.
Our bid award will not to exceed 68,779.
0.5, correct. Yep.
I like that.
So this is the Telto.
Confusing.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll see if Michelle would have put the other 218 pages in it, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, I did not do that.
We spent 2,000, I think.
Well, 2,000.
That's right.
It's a good savings for her.
We would have given that back in paper, you're right.
So Jeff, if you, I mean, do you want to tweak that motion at all, or is that,
Well, I just want to make sure we use the right amount.
yeah,
Yes.
68,779.
okay.
We didn't make a motion yet.
No, not
No,
yet.
not yet.
I just
I'm
wanted
gonna
to
make
check
this
it
one.
before I
Yep.
did.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Mr. President, to make a motion to accept the bid or award a contract to Telto Contracting Incorporated for the Lathrop Street Storm Sewer Project in the amount not to exceed $68,779.50, and authorize the village clerk and president to sign all documents on behalf of the village.
Support.
Moved by Ed, supported by Ballard, to go ahead with the bid of the street. Any further discussion? If not, call please.
Sleds,
Yes.
Ballard,
Yes.
Pelkey,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes,
Cronin,
Yes.
Wallach.
Yes, motion carried.
and another good thing with Telto getting this project, they're gonna also be working on mine. They were kind of holding off, because if they got this job,
Exactly,
they
do
can
them both together.
do both together.
Yep. Yeah, because there's no reason for this not to be done before the end, well, before even before.
No, I think we'll let
Okay.
maybe Jeff talk about the village of Clinton.
Clinton,
I mean,
You want me to do?
yeah,
Yeah, okay. Because you gave us
This
the
one's
back.
like, yeah.
Sure.
yeah.
Next on the agenda is the Village of Clinton sent the notice to me, and I turned it over to Mr. Verhowski, and he has an answer for us also.
Okay, so just so, by way of review, as you know, we kind of supported the Village of Clinton's opposition to the Eagle mandate for the replacement of lead service lines, water supply lines. And if you recall, it's going back a pretty long time, maybe almost 2 years now, but you recall Clinton's principal objection to Eagle's mandate was that it violated the General Law Village Act, which said we are not allowed to expend public resources for a private benefit. And remember, this is replacing the private sewer lines, which
Right.
generally run from the curb stop to the house.
Right, yeah.
Once it enters the public right-of-way, then any lead-based parts would be on us. But the mandate made us replace everything. And as you know, my biggest opposition is one of gaining access even to do the work, because we just can't go on people's private property, especially with backhoes, and dig up their lines, and, you know, just because Eagle says we can. So Clinton has taken the lead. We financially supported the effort, and President Woloch got a letter from the Clinton village manager giving him an update on August 13th, basically saying that they met with Eagle, and Eagle has acknowledged the conflict, and has basically said, okay, we acknowledge the conflict, and we're not gonna, at this time, mandate that municipalities in Michigan that are affected by this, at least villages, kind of proceed to replace these. However, there appears to be some dialogue that the Village of Clinton had with Eagle to the effect that if we can get funding, and there's a lot of federal money circulating right now, they would support the Village of Clinton entering into what they describe as a memorandum of understanding with private property owners. So they had their legal staff prepare like an agreement that you would present to the property owner. Number one, giving you access to the property. But this would all be funded for federal dollars, at least for federal dollars, if they get them. So they concluded their letter by saying, we were able to agree on a reasonable minimum service line verification number. The state understands the Village of Clinton is not able to spend its funds on the private portion of the service line. They are therefore exploring a way to potentially use federal infrastructure money to cover those costs. Now, how they extrapolate their negotiations across the state, I can't really tell you at this point. I don't think Clinton even knows if they're going to get federal funds to do this. But at least I think the kind of the gun to the head that some of us felt we had has been, seems to have been eliminated a little bit. So I think I take a couple points I wanted to kind of bring up to the council. Number one, I know there is some federal funding. I don't know if it's been defined to cover the removal of these lead lines, but it sounded from what I've been reading that the state is taking some of their ARPA funds and putting them into the SRF. Now you guys all are familiar with SRF. We participated. It's a state revolving fund. Those generally tend to be low interest loans. So I'm not really sure how that's all going to work. But the deadline, I believe, and Ross, I don't know if you've had any conversations, maybe like Roe or somebody, as to whether villages should apply or not. It might be worth a phone call and see if.
Yeah, I actually already did it through ITA, intent to apply.
Okay.
I always want to say something else.
Yeah,
Intent to apply. So we've already submitted for funding for our approximately 85 lead service lines in the village, and some of those are on the corporate side, and some are on the private side, and some are both.
Right.
And our near-term focus is only on the public side. We're not doing any private right now for the very reasons that you talked about. We have to have a plan in place to go on private property and do that stuff.
Right.
And so
that leads into my kind of other big remaining concern besides federal funding is, what do we do if this is still kind of a quasi mandate? What do we do if someone says no? We've got the money.
Yep.
Here's our agreement with you. Please let us on, and they say no. And I don't think anybody right now knows the answer to that question. But that's good to hear, Ross. That probably the best thing we can do is try to position ourselves for some of the state funding to handle these homes. The other issue that came up, and Ross, you might have to help me or Steve, because they talked about a gooseneck installation in the right of way, and what they were struggling with is that the gooseneck installation, it appears to be lead, but Clinton was feeling that they may not replace it, and so I don't know what our installations look like or made. I imagine they're probably pretty dated.
right.
But when you look over the material that Michelle provided, that issue I think we need to be aware of, and if we have it, maybe we need to evaluate, are we going to replace those, are we not?
Yeah, actually those are principally the things that I'm trying to replace on the public side. And we've got 30 to 35 of those that I can do, assuming funding is available without any coordination with a private resident. So I can just do those. The thing that concerns me, Jeff, is the Eagle's given us 20 years to get them all done. You could have 10,000, you could have 2. You got 20 years to get them done at 5% a year. We've done none so far, and we're a year or 2 into it. So technically, we're about 8 behind, if you want to look at it.
Well, I don't know, again, I don't know without federal funding, they're asking you to violate the general law.
Yes.
Which you took an oath to uphold, and I don't know how you do that. And if they are acknowledging that there's this conflict, we can't spend our funds to do it. The only thing we can say is, if we get federal funds, we'll develop a program similar to what Clinton is doing.
Yes, and just for council though, I've got a couple years of working on the corporate side. That's not going to cause us any consternation. We have to do that. In 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road, we will have to start considering the private side, and so I'm hoping something gets resolved in this issue.
When you say the corporate side, is that the businesses?
The corporate side is what you generally call the municipal component versus the private component. So just figure that's the part that goes from the water main up to, say, the sidewalk. The village owns that stuff. From the sidewalk to the house is the private side. So we can do those lead goosenecks, and we do have them. in the old sections of the village, we can do those without any problem. And we have a plan to do those. We've not done any to date, but we'll start doing them next year.
Right. So those are kind of the issues. I think the one other item I just wanted to mention, you know, the other concern I have is even if everything falls into place, we get funding, we get people that want to do it. Many of you know, whenever you do these lines, this is pretty, you know, you're excavating and with older foundations, you know, you tend to get claims of cracks. You cracked my foundation and things like that, just because the earth is moving and you're excavating. So my concern would be, you know, again, with homeowners making it clear to them that we're going to do this at no cost to you. It's better for you, you know, healthier outcome. But, you know, we can't take responsibility for any claims of damage to foundations. Because, you know, a lot of road projects or any type of excavation, you know, one of the reasons they videotape a lot of stuff is they want proof that this was the condition. Because you do tend to get a lot of claims, and like I said, these older lines, especially lead lines, go right into, you know, they're pretty deep and they go right into the foundation. So this probably is not, I wouldn't describe it as clean work. So that would be the last concern, but I'll answer any questions. But that's kind of where it's at. Good news, but still some pretty significant questions out there. So.
I have Ross, maybe you can tell me this. I thought that the goosenecks were at the main, and then they transfer over to either copper or galvanized line.
Yes, they essentially do, but yeah.
Now, so we wouldn't be going on the homeowners.
No, that's what I'm saying. Of the approximately 85 sets of residences line from the main that the village owns to the curb stop and then on to the house. Some of them are only on the corporate side, some of them are only on the private side, which we're not going to touch right now. Some of them are both. What Eagle would say is if you start working on a line that's everything is bad, once you start on the corporate side or the public side, you have to finish everything. So that makes it a little bit more difficult for us. That means of this 85, I can focus on the lines that are just on the corporate or public side right now. It gives me a couple years. At some point, I'm going to get to a point where I can't do anything without these questions being answered.
How many do we have there on the corporate side? How many do we have there?
I'm going to say about 30.
30.
Yeah, and then there's,
So
I think there's
there's
8 that are combinations of both, and then the rest of them are only on the private side. And of course, the homeowner he's welcome to go and change his own line if he wants to.
Sure.
And we'll stay out of it. But yeah, we've purposely stayed off of the private side at this point because of these questions.
Right.
We have to have a plan, and we don't have a plan yet.
So hopefully, like I said, there seems like the state would really like to make the ARPA funding available for some of this purposes, but as far as, you know, how they're gonna rank your application and others, I don't think anybody
Yeah,
knows.
scoring is different this year. Again, the good news is we've already put in and intend to apply for funding, so our foot is in the door, and it's going to be some kind of a cost match. But until these issues are really resolved, I don't want to start digging into the private side. So.
Any questions?
Council, any questions?
Jeff covered it pretty well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, just interestingly, Jeff, I've not seen anything out there from Eagle on any of this, so you're giving me an update.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's only obviously about 2 months ago.
2 months, yeah.
And the nice thing is Clinton is promising they'll keep us as things progress. So at least we'll see, we'll get a idea of what Eagle is pushing on and not pushing on, and that'll help us design,
Yes.
you know, maybe our program a little bit better.
Yeah.
But at least, again, it's an acknowledgement that, I don't want to say that we were right, because that's probably not the right way to word it, but at least that there was a conflict there, and
Yes.
I always felt like you know, I understood the urgency of the issue, you know, no one thinks lead pipes are a great thing, but at the same time, you have to recognize what we're able to do as a local government, and one thing we can't do is just go on people's properties and say, you know, we're gonna
Here
do
to
whatever.
tear up your
Right,
water line.
right.
So I think we have to be real thankful that Clinton jumped on the bandwagon and did the legwork. And it's costing us less money, period, so, and I hope it continues. They are doing an excellent job of informing us, and you have some letters in your packet to back up what we've had in the past. So, again, Mr. Robertson, thank you
No
kindly.
problem.
Any other questions? Up and coming agenda. Anything for the new agenda?
I will be bringing you a resolution for the bank account that you guys approved at last meeting. Because it has to be signed in a meeting in a resolution.
All right,
Oh,
so that'll be at our 24th meeting,
Yep.
and anything else? At this time, the citizens' comments is opened up on the floor. 3 minutes to state, name for the record, please. If not, nobody. We have an excellent audience. Excellent audience. We always have a good audience. So, on next, council comments, Eddie.
I just wanted to comment, the homecoming parade, there was some candy throwing. So, talked to the chief today. He's gonna approach Mike Rose, who was the student council liaison, you know, the guy that turned in the permit. So we can meet and have just an after-action meeting, just to try to figure out what we can do, you know. I don't know what else to do. So it's all on tape, though. NEMC was taping, so we do have the culprits. The culprits are on tape.
I gotta say, at my house, I had a ton of grandchildren out there, and
They had it.
they brought it over to
Good. Yeah, it must
I mean,
maybe
they might have thrown it on the ground or something, but they
Right.
brought it
No.
over. They weren't throwing it from.
maybe downtown it got a little
No, they
different.
did have walkers
Yeah.
throughout
Yeah,
it,
so
but
they did
there
good.
was still
Yeah.
way
By
too
us.
many of them thrown right off the vehicle.
Yes. So I mean, you know, it's a process, and we'll continue to meet with, you know, with the schools, just so we can continue to do the parades.
You know, on these wagons, I'm the typical old farmer. I was raised on a farm. And the thing is, these wagons, I don't like it, the youngsters are hanging their feet down on the ground. That is dangerous. And the drivers of the vehicles are gonna be responsible, I think, one day. I hope not. They gotta learn from it now. Don't let them have their feet hanging down. And, you know, a couple of them, they're maybe 1.5 feet away from these wheels. You know, and, if them little youngsters fall, I don't wanna see one get hurt. So, I hope we can get that across to them, if all of us can pass that on. So, very important, folks. So,
Michelle, I'm a little behind. I'll try to get you that scrap prices. So you can open that
yeah,
up a bit.
yeah.
okay, community events? Any other community events coming up? Well, Halloween be in a month. So, that goes pretty well. And we don't have a closed session tonight. And I'm gonna entertain a motion for adjournment, please. Mr. Ballard, you
Sure.
time, please?
The time is 7:42. I move to adjourn.
support.
Moved by Mr. Ballard, supported by Mr. Slay. All in favor?
Aye.
They're all in favor, that's good. There was no one.
Who's gonna
no
say
other-
no?
That would be a tough one, yeah.
There's no immediate discussion. Mr. Howard? Thank you. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay.
The velvet.